What's up, guys? I've got a special kind of live stream for y'all today. I'm making a commitment to bring live content to you, and today I want to be a little bit more transparent about the journey. To be honest with you, not everybody is meant to build a $10 million business. I don't know if y'all are watching this. A lot of people maybe follow me just because they're trying to make their first six figures out there. But a lot of people are home service guys. They see the gold rush as a blue collar entrepreneur. They look up to $10 million is a big deal. And I was talking to my friend Adam Coffey, who helps companies build to $1 billion. He started talking about how, like, out of all the different companies in America, literally more than 80% of the companies don't make it to the $1 million mark. And out of that 20%, only 6% of companies make it to the $10 million mark. I just want y'all to know my name's Lee. I've been on the internet creating a lot of content over the years as a roofing contractor, as a guy that's teaching like how to sell, fixing big problems for big paychecks out there in home exterior. I put my money from roofing into real estate. I got a big live event coming up April 4th and 5th. But I want to share with y'all kind of a different kind of live stream today, which is sort of like my biggest failures and business lessons at the high level. So type in some questions about if you're a business owner and type in where you're coming in from, because today I kind of want to talk about anybody that's having any problems, whether you're an $8 to $10 million business, $5 million business, you're trying to get to 10, or you're a $10 million business, you're trying to get to 20. A lot of people may be just trying to create their first $1 million. Now, for me, like I was always dedicated to proving that I could go out there and be the best roofing salesman in the world. So I was willing to go door to door, willing, even when I partied too much, to work hard at the most important skill that pays. So many contractors I talk to don't understand that it's the ability to communicate. And so it's great when you have a great product and service, like helping people fight insurance companies, win claims, get their roofs paid for, and then add the value to their homes. It's great. But, getting past doing $1 million is a past doing your own sales skills. It's hiring your first $1 million producer, and usually, that is a company. It's the beginning of a company. One guy that can sell, another guy that basically comes along as buddy, and both of them together, they go out there potentially with the office manager, do $2 million to $3 million. If you're watching this, guys, I kind of want to talk to you about the failures that happen past that point. At this point, I'm still selling with the guys. Sometimes the biggest complaints were, Lee, you're a salesman. You think like the salesman. Sometimes you're competitive in the marketplace. We feel like we're competing against you. It gets very competitive with your sales team. And I'll never forget when I came across this guy that worked at the Cheesecake Factory. I sold his grandma a roof, and the story, it never like fails putting goosebumps on the back of my neck, because during the process, my man had been in the penitentiary for 5 years. He'd come out. He was a hard worker. He was a good-looking guy, and I knew that he had potential. So I gave him like $5,000 to quit his job. I let him keep the commission on his mom's house. And from that day, he was one of the hardest hardcore door-to-door soldiers I had. And when you find somebody, you're only one person away. Like this guy's name was Donnie. He's a great dude. He went on to become a millionaire, building his own roofing business later on, and I'm so proud of the guy. But the best day was when I met him and when I taught him the business, and he shot off and had huge success next year, bringing his friends. Next thing I know, he's got a 5-man team. They're bringing in $5 million a year for my business. And you know what, guys? That's really what I help people do. I help them build championship door-to-door sales teams. It doesn't matter where you come from. You got a checkered past. The industry of selling direct sales, of door-to-door, the ability to influence. I mean, dude, home service is a gold rush. You got roofing and solar. They're sort of the king of door-to-door. But there's all these different things you can plug into. And so my guy, Donnie, you know what happened? I went on a cruise. This is one of the biggest failures. I didn't give him a place to grow. It was at a point in his journey where he needed to become a guy that ran his own shop. And usually with your team, my biggest failure was I didn't let my team's vision or dream, their dream was bigger than my dream. He wanted to be his owner. He wanted to make $1 million. And he didn't see how he was going to make $1 million within my organization. I didn't show him. So my biggest failure, when I got on a cruise and found out that Donnie had took all of his sales guys, started their own company, and took a lot of the projects, man, I was like really crushed. And if y'all have ever lost any of your top sales guys before, it's sometimes when we are the most coachable, the most vulnerable. I felt desperate. I felt like I'd rested on my laurels and depended on Donnie's hard work for a little bit. And, I also never wanted to be a slave to just one guy who was creating more than 50% of my business. And, from that day forward, I started to think, you know what, my network is my net worth. I started thinking that following this guy, Grant Cardone, reading his stuff, that I should start building a network on social media. If you're watching this, it was like 8.5, 9 years ago. I started thinking, you know what, it's time to start documenting my journey, sharing my story. And at that point, starting over, I was like, I never want to be a slave to just one sales guy again. And so that's where this whole Skydiamonds University thing got started. And if y'all are following this journey, I don't have a lot of time, but basically, I sold Grant Cardone a roof. I invested a lot of money in training. In order to keep up with paying the bill on training him, I started training other roofers. I got addicted to the 12-step of roofing. That's had a spiritual experience because I was sharing what was given to me. You could call me Silver Spoon. My dad taught me this business. I sold my first roof at the age of 14. So once I started teaching the world, creating content, started elevating the whole game, man, you know what? That's when things really started to change. It's 2024. If you're watching this, it's really important to tell your story. It's really important to invest in personal development, to build your network. And one of the biggest things that I did to get my company to go from 10 to 20 million, I started putting myself in rooms. Got a big event coming up April 4th and 5th, Roofs to Real Estate. I want to invite you to be a part of the room. But the first thing that I did was I started basically taking this gift, this wonderful thing, this coaching, and I went all in. Give me some hearts if you're ever sort of like an addictive personality. If something comes along, you can get distracted. You forget that your main thing is your main thing. The side hustle, of helping other roofers versus going out there and selling my own jobs. I didn't have the leadership in my team that I used to have. I was sort of this new sales manager and sales leader. And what happened was, again, I took my eye off the prize, split focused. One of my biggest failures going from 10 million to 20 million was I didn't develop the leaders. See, that's the second step. You got to, recruit sales guys into your business, but you can't just bring in sales guys. You got to create leaders. And when I went to go help everybody else's business, my business suffered. And it was funny because I can remember having to start all over. Texas is where I'm from. Dallas-Fort Worth is the most competitive market, and I got my ass kicked because I was spread too thin. And I'm creating content. I'm on the internet. I've got the epitome of empty suit failure going on right now. What I had to do, though, was I had to think outside the box. I wanted to raise my average transaction company. There was a company that I always competed with. It was called CMR. They went after, big tile and slate projects. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to land big projects. And ended up having this idea to sell Grant Cardone a roof. His first roof that we had on the docket was actually in Stuart, Florida. And at that time, CMR had a market down there. I got down here. I decided to move my whole business to Florida. It's like, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to become a storm catcher, not a storm chaser. If I can win the state of Florida, I can win the United States. I can be the biggest roofer in the United States. Well, it's hard here. I had to follow a new set of rules. Everybody's got to be insured. This is like literally one of the most hardest places to operate. And when I moved down here, a lot of people don't understand when you're doing business that there's going to be things that test you. And if you're watching this right now, you're going through a time where you're being tested. I've been there with you, dude. I can help you wherever you need to go. But I got tested when I got fined by the state. They found we had what's called a PEO, which is a workman's comp policy where you lease your employees. Well, the problem is when you lease your employees, you don't really have coverage. And so comment below if you're one of these people who thinks that leasing employees is okay. I didn't know any better, okay? You ever heard of the law of the lid? You don't know what you don't know? Well, guys, if you're watching this right now, you're a home service contractor. I help people double, triple, quadruple sales. I'm building a billion-dollar company, creating 100 multimillionaires. I want you to be a part of it. But the reality is it's only because I failed over and over and over again and learned from those mistakes. When I got fined by the state, got the right insurance, finally had to implement a complete safety protocol, had to follow a whole different regimen of W-2 and really like checks and balances with my crews with a lot of in-house employees. And you want to talk about like my business at 10 to 20 million, what was the biggest thing that broke? Well, at that time period, I put myself in a position to be successful. A lot of times in business, if you're watching this right now, you're going through a hard time, just staying in business is the most important thing. So my dad used to tell me that. I didn't understand the importance of it, but it's so true. And we stayed in business. We ended up getting a hurricane. The storm happened of the century, Irma. We were trained on the discontinued tile. We saw a gold rush when others didn't. Our business went boom. We had a hard time in the past doing 10 million a year. Now all of a sudden, 20, 30, $40 million in sales, and our business is sort of breaking because we don't have clear job roles. We're a group of mercenaries. And if you have ever built a business and didn't have a solid foundation of core values, market leader positioning, who you are, what you do, how you do it, if you don't have a good way to track everybody's work with KPIs, dude, you can create a lot of craziness. And so if you're watching this right now, doesn't matter where you're at, the only people that can help you get where you need to be are people that have been there before. If you're trying to scale a home service company, a roofing company, that's what we do. We help roofers grow like clockwork. We've helped more than like 7,000 roofers, salespeople, and owners. We've generated hundreds of millions in results. All you need is more leads and salespeople. And because overcoming these failures, what I did was I got better. I went into personal development. I started learning direct response marketing. And that's where I started pivoting and learning how to become retail. Because going from 10 million to 100 million, meaning I had to stop being just door to door and just dependent on insurance. And it meant that I had to start becoming a little bit more what's called the most dependable way to build wealth. What do you think the most dependable way to build wealth is? It's the ability to advertise for profit. So if you can scale the right cost per acquisition, like right now, it costs me off the internet, off of Facebook. We build a brand, we retarget. Maybe you've been retargeted by my ads. It's how we retarget our customers. When we get an appointment for anywhere from $150 to $250 per appointment, we close anywhere from 25% to 30%. So our cost per acquisition is about $1,000 per roof. Now the average roof across America is probably 15 to 20,000 depending on your market. So if you're running 40% profit, you're paying salespeople, you got overhead expenses. As the owner, you put $1,000 in, you can easily double or triple your money like a money printing machine. And so that's why I had to figure out retail. The more leads that I create with insurance, the real more of a cash flow crunch I created for myself. That was the biggest problem. People always like to talk about, what is Lee doing over here? Well, Lee is over here in the lab building a money printing machine, and I'm sharing it with the world. Let me explain to you. It was actually this mastermind concept of coaching other roofers, learning from the best guys that have shared with me, would have worked in market to market, me advertising in market to market, me applying what works from other industries, and split testing my own ads for my own company. And so that really gave us the blueprint, like Alex Hermosi for gyms, Leehaight for roofing. We started getting even retail companies, guys like Ricky Southers, who grow with our video frameworks, with our lead generation tools, and he recruited a sales team. He showed that you don't have to be an insurance guy to use my system. As a matter of fact, the retail guys can take the leads, turn them into profit faster, and scale quicker with faster access to their profits because they build their jobs. It's beautiful. And so Ricky started to show me that I needed to become retail 100%. If you're watching this right now, maybe you're feeling the pains of scaling as an insurance restoration. Maybe you want to plug into the insurance. Maybe you want to make your first million. But for me, scaling from 20 million to 40 million, I actually lost a top manager. I was actually shut down completely by the state. And until I got a coach and really wrote down my core values, really wrote down what is our meeting structure. Am I going to be committed? A lot of times people say death by meetings in your company. Well, guess what, dude? Your company is your family, and it's like teaching your kids. You're going to have to overdo it sometimes. That's called communication. And so for me, to become a guy that learned how to communicate and get a team to run all in the same direction, it was required for me to get help from someone who had scaled and exited businesses that did $50 and $100 million. This guy, I paid 20 grand, sat down at a table, and literally what we wrote down changed my life. A one-page plan of attack. And if you want me to help you put down a one-page plan of attack, this thing helped me go from 20 to 40 million a year to 40 to 60 million a year. And in the meantime, I had to do something that was incredibly hard. I had to completely scrap the whole framework. My dad had built a CRM, a software. We'd sold it to many different roofing contractors. We'd spent $1 million, $2 million, $3 million developing these systems. Well, it didn't connect. There wasn't enough APIs, and we outgrew my own family's system. And I had to take my dad's life work, and I had to place it over here and rebuild and trash my CRM at $40 million in sales. And that was hard. We had to rebuild our processes completely. And over the last 3 years, combination of Roofing Redline, Job Nimbus, SDU Hub, Google Data Studio. We have something that no one else has. And if you're watching this right now from 10 million to 100 million, it means that you constantly have to rebuilding your technology. And if you're struggling because your business is broke at certain different points of this, look, I've been there. I had to go to retail just to survive. Last year, you talk about my biggest failures, it was when the hurricane happened, I went all in without any understanding of how slow the insurance companies were going to pay this time around. The market had collapsed. 8 insurance companies went out of business, and money that usually would come back in 30, 60, 90, sometimes 120 days was out millions of dollars for months at a time. So when your company is set for massive growth, but there is a market disruption in cash flow, what happens is like, dude, you have to get desperate, get lean, and you have to become a selling machine. There's so many different times where there's been constraints on my business, and the thing that really was the one way we win was more leads, more salespeople, a better sales system. A customer is always the beginning to solving your problems. Now you got to do a good job and make good profit, but if you can't get the customer, you can't survive. And so, going to retail meant that we had to build, literally an inside sales engine. So we generate about 20,000 leads. These appointments to me are the hottest leads out there because we're building a brand. What I like about the Facebook is people have to be very impulsive. That means they're usually impulsive to close. And so, last year, even though these market conditions made it the hardest year ever for me, we acquired 3 different companies. We grew organically. We grew through acquisitions. I used my own money. Instead of going and selling to private equity, I got 5, 6, 7 companies a week trying to buy my company. I literally established a partnership with a guy that used to be the owner of the Texas Rangers, who was owners in insurance companies. And I established a line of credit that would allow me to buy 10 to 20 roofing companies, build a platform business, and bankroll my way to a couple $300 million valuation. And that's what we're doing right now. If you're watching this, our goal, of course, is to help a lot of blue collar roofing contractors along the way grow their roofing companies, take some of their money, and put generational wealth into the real estate. Recently, we've been putting money into single family, but we've bought a lot of multifamily homes. I've made millions in both single family and multifamily, and I want to invite you to learn about the scaling systems of my roofing business, because building a roofing company right now that does 8 figures, it will give you an 8-figure net worth. It needs to run without you. It needs to have good books, and you need a dependable marketing system. But if you're watching this, man, now's the time to get into roofing. And I have a program for people that are starting to get in with no startup capital, or that are just looking to get into the business, or maybe you're in sales. And this is called Real Roofing. It's weekly calls. It's a community. We have an app, and we're fixing to unlaunch a sales contest where I'm giving away $10,000, a trip to Puerto Rico for the most doors knocked in the National Roofing League. Now, look, if you're watching this right now, I just want everyone to know, whether you're a salesperson or an owner, April 4th and 5th, we have an event coming up. We have a limited number of seats. We're going to be going through the scaling systems to build wealth in roofing and real estate. And roofing is a gold rush right now. Cash flow is king. Getting that cash flow from a recession-proof place, roofing, and put it into real estate. Right now, Wall Street's buying up all the rental property, and there will be a nation of renters. You can be on the landlord side, or you can be on the renter side. It's your choice. If you want to build wealth like a blue-collar millionaire, you do it by getting into a niche like roofing, scaling the sales, building a great business. If you happen to be a business owner that's making $500,000, $1 million, $2 million in profit, I'm buying roofing companies. I'm partnering up with mid-size, small, sometimes $10 million roofing companies, just working on a partnership in Utah, working on a partnership in California, new markets that are retail markets. We have a company, Southers Construction in New Hampshire, all retail. Another company here, Leak Busters, that is an insurance retail hybrid. Anyways, I've got a coaching call myself with my guy, Adam Coffey. You should pick up his book, The Private Equity Playbook. He's a $1 billion coach. That's what y'all need as a coach. I want to help you maybe get to your first million, your first 10 million. I'm 38 years old. I've built an 8-figure net worth but I'm not going to be done until I get 9 figures by the age of 40. And I'm doing it all to raise the status of the blue collar guys. I'm doing it all to help as many roofing contractors and make this shit look cool again. All right, so guys, while AI takes all the other jobs, while people are talking about Amazon stores and all the different shits becoming digital marketers and social media kings, there's a gold rush out here in real brick and mortar applying click and order. If you can take the internet strategies from the click and order world, you can apply them to the real world brick and mortar world. You can get rich because people right now are paying for recession-proof essential businesses. I've got a business to teach you how it works. Skydiamonds University 8 years ago. Dude, we've helped more than 7,000 people. We want to help you get plugged in. April 4th and 5th, we got an event, Roofs to Real Estate. Just shared with you some of the failures. Now let me tell you some of the successes. Our company's worth close to 9 figures this year. I bought 3 single family properties that I'm flipping. I'm going to give you a tour. We've been buying properties. My partner Tyler's got like 15 flip houses going right here in the area. Recently on YouTube, there was an $11 million property. We put $1 million into the property. It was me and investors. Investors 2.5x their money. 2.5 years after raising rent, we sold the property for $18 million. This is not the only multifamily property I've done, but I'm going to be bringing in my multifamily mentors, my experts. We're going to be talking about the opportunity in commercial real estate, single family real estate, and roofing. There's a goddamn gold rush in roofing. So you want to connect with me? You're one of my followers. You're one of my homies. You feel like we're brothers from another mother. Let's break bread. Truth is like typically this event, it's for my mastermind, my elite clients. That's a 60K group. This time around, we're letting people in the event. Now, Real Roofing, you get a bonus ticket to the event when you buy for the year. But we're letting people in right now if you're a follower for $1,000. It's here in Southwest Florida. It's intimate. We're only going to have about 50 people there. We probably only have 15 tickets. We're going to do a tour of my offices. We're going to be doing a tour of my properties that are in progress. We're going to be role playing. We're going to be talking about like how do you get the deals off the market? What's the pitch on how you close it below market value? Just locked in my man Eric Klein. Maybe you saw the podcast. He's a legend. He does about 40 deals, about $2 million in buying real estate under market value. There's a ton of money right now if you just know what to say. So I'm going to put you on the game. Roofs to Real Estate, April 4th and 5th. We're going to leave the link in the comment here. You RSVP, get with Natalie, get your tickets. We're half off if you're watching this stream. We'll see you April 4th and 5th.